Hello, good morning, everyone. Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to study about topographic and geologic maps. But specifically today, we're going to focus on topographic map first, okay? So in here, you're going to define what the topographic map and geologic map means. And then we're going to differentiate these two kinds of map. And then, of course, we're going to learn how to read topographic and geologic maps. Okay, so are you guys ready? Let's start now. So the first one here is that on the next slide, these are the objectives, okay, that I hope we can finish at the end of, that you can be able to learn after the end of the lesson. So the first one is explain how elevation and topography are shown on a map. Number two, describe the three types of information shown in geologic maps. Okay, so what are topographic and geologic maps? So these two kinds of maps are specialty maps used to show specific features such as the changes in elevation and the geologic characteristics. Right, so I have here on the screen, this one is a kind of topographic map. Okay, so as you can see here, the features, this one is different from the common type of map that we know, right? So again, as I was saying, we're going to focus on topographic map first, okay? And then eventually, later and maybe tomorrow and on the succeeding days of our lesson, we're going to continue with geologic map, okay? So what are topographic maps? So basically, this is one of the most widely used maps, okay? And this is called a topographic map, which shows the surface features of the Earth, okay? What kind of surface features? Now, usually we have different kind of landforms, right? A mountain, a valley, okay? So all of this can be shown on a topographic map, okay? And then normally this kind of map uses lines of equal elevation, okay? Again, it is using lines of equal elevation to show the shape of the Earth's surface, okay? And then next one here. So the topographic map also shows natural features, okay? Like mountains, valleys, rivers, lakes, and coastlines. Okay, so these natural features can be shown on a topographic map. Then aside from these natural features, also a topographic map shows cultural features such as the buildings, roads, and towns. So all of these natural and cultural features, if you know how to read a topographic map, you'll be able to identify this, okay, when you see a topographic map, right? Now, a topographic map is also known as a contour map, okay? This is a kind of map that shows the shape of the land, okay, using contour line. What is contour line? I'm going to tell you later on, okay? And that it is a map that shows elevation field, okay, meaning how high and low the ground is in relation to the sea level, right? So basically, this is one of the features of a topographic map, elevation. Now, when we say topography, this is the size and shape of land surface features of a region. Okay, now it could be a country, a part of a country, or a specific region. Now, when I say elevation, this is the height of an object above sea level. Okay, for example, in here, this one, the height above sea level. Okay, we call this the altitude. Okay, so from this ground going up here at the peak of the mountain, so that's the altitude. So how elevated it is. All right. Now, contour lines, these are lines that connect points that are of the same elevation, because a topographic map uses lines, right? They uses lines. So these are lines that connect points Okay, so you have here irregular circle lines. Okay, so these are what we call contour lines. They show the exact elevation, the shape of the land, and the steepness of the land's slope. Okay, so what are the features or what are the characteristics of this contour line? Later on, I'm going to tell you when we study about the rules. Okay, when we learn about the rules about reading topographic maps. Okay, so as you can see here, contour lines never touch or cross. Okay, but sometimes they touch. Okay, sometimes they touch. Another feature here, contour lines are generally drawn as black or brown lines on a map. Okay, so as you can see here, over here, black or brown. Okay, black or brown. Then usually every fifth contour is printed with heavier print than the other. Okay, so as you can see here, if you're going to count, this is number one, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then another dark line. Okay, so usually they are labeled. Okay, labeled with the elevation of the contour. Sometimes in miles or in meter. Okay, so for example, this one is 800 miles. Okay, and then 700 miles. Now this one, this fifth contour is called the index line, or sometimes the index contour line. Okay, so this one 800, the darker area here, the darker line is called the index contour line. Okay, 800 miles or meters. Then 700, this is the index contour line. Also on this one here, you can see this one, 11,000, 10,800, 10,600, 10,600. Okay, so these are index contour line. Okay. Another one, we also have what we call a benchmark. What is a benchmark? It is a point where exact elevation is known or have been identified. And usually this is marked with a brass or aluminum plate. Okay. And it is marked with a letter BM. Okay, on the map with the elevation number given in feet. Okay, so there's a mark BM, a letter BM on a brass or aluminum plate, and then the elevation on that area. Okay, benchmark are useful to help determine contour lines. Okay, because in this area, again, they were able to identify the exact elevation, right? We also have map scale. Okay, map scale, we're going to compare. Okay, compare distances on the map with distances on Earth. Okay, so usually in using topographic map, they're using map scales, and this map scale depends on the map. Okay, depends on the map. Anyway, you can see that because there is a legend. Okay, so for every map, there's always a legend that explains the symbols used on the map. Okay, so whatever the symbols used in the maps, they are explained on a legend, usually on the other side, okay, in the side of the map. Okay, so index contour is the same. These are the labeled to help you find contour interval. Okay, these are contour lines that are labeled. So this one here, for example, as you can see, the one on red circle. Okay, so this is a BM. Okay, BM benchmark. Okay, benchmark. What is a benchmark again? You still remember? When I say benchmark, this is where they were able to identify the exact elevation. Okay, so in this case, this is, for example, what's that? 3655. Okay, 3655 feet or meters. Okay, so there's a BM sign here. Okay, so that is what we call benchmark. Okay, next one. How do we understand topographic map, or how do we read topographic map like this one? Because if you will see this one for the first time, it would be confusing. What is that picture? Okay, so cartographers solved the problem of representing the three-dimensional land surface in a flat piece of paper by using contour lines. Okay, if you know how to read this one, you will be able to visualize three-dimensional. Okay, in a three-dimensional, the contour on a certain landforms, like a mountain, a cliff, okay, or a valley, on a flat piece of paper. Okay, so that's horizontal distances and vertical elevation can both be measured from a topographic map. So we can measure the horizontal distance and then the vertical distance on a topographic map. Okay, so for example, I have here a local topographic map. This is how it looks like. Okay, later on, when you know how to read topographic maps, you can be able to identify which one is here, a mountain, a hill, and other land features. Okay, land features. So this one is a local topographic map, and this is how it looks like in an aerial photo. Okay, that is how it looks like in an aerial photo. Now, when you read topographic maps, they use what we have here, symbols. Okay, they are using symbols. Like, for example, this brown contour lines that quantify elevation, the color browns. This color blue here, for example, are lakes, streams, ditches, and the like. Okay, and then land grids. Okay, land grids, this one. Important roads, for example, highways, main roads and highways. Whereas the black ones are smaller roads. Okay, this one here, for example. This one too, I think. Yeah. Features updated with aerial photography. This one, the purple color. So they can use color aside from that. So this is one of the symbols I'm telling you a while ago. Okay. So also, this is important to know when you are reading topographic map. Okay, now you need to understand about the quadrangles. Okay, so these are sections of the Earth that are bounded by the lines of latitude and longitude. Okay, so when we say latitude, these are from the top. Okay, latitude at the top and bottom. Okay, top and bottom. So these are the latitudinal lines. Okay, and then longitude is from right and then left. Okay, right, left. Okay, so this line are longitudinal. Okay, so longitude and latitude are measured in degrees, minutes, and seconds. So you can see here 20 degrees, 40 degrees, 60 degrees, etc., etc. Okay, so I think you know that already. You're studying that in your, I remember we're studying how to read latitude and longitude in social science. Is that geography, right? Geography. What else? Next one is what we call compass bearing. Okay, what is a compass bearing? Now here, a bearing is a number in degrees. Okay, so this is a number in degrees. Like for example, 22 degrees east. Okay, a bearing is a number in degrees that represents the direction. Okay, of one point relative to the other. Okay, so we have two kinds of a bearing here. Okay, you can use either a protractor or a compass. Okay, so in here, for example, if direction is expressed in degrees, east or west of north, it is called quadrant bearing. Okay, quadrant bearing. And you can use a protractor to know that. Okay, you can use a protractor. For example, in here, what's that? What is the bearing from C to D? Okay, so from C to D. So that is, if you're going to count here on the protractor C to D, that is 22. Okay, that is 22 degrees east. Okay, so if you're going to count from the protractor. Okay, quadrant bearing, we call that as quadrant bearing. The other one is called azimuth bearing. Now, if the direction is expressed in degrees between 0 to 360 degrees, we're using compass. Okay, from 0 to 360 degrees, and this is called azimuth bearing. Okay, for example, in here, what is the bearing from A to B? Okay, A to B, basically from 0 to this point. Okay, you can easily read that as 45 degrees. Okay, 45 degrees. All right, next one here is a map scale. Okay, map scale. Maps come in a variety of scale, covering areas ranging from the entire Earth to a city block or less or certain area. Okay, so it is important that we know the scale. Okay, if it is the entire Earth or the country, okay, in order for you to identify or to read specific topographic maps. Okay, so we have here a vertical scale or a contour interval. All maps have a horizontal scale, also horizontal scale. Topographic maps also have a vertical scale, okay, vertical scale to allow the determination of a point in three-dimensional space. Okay, so on my next slide, I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so let us proceed with the rules for contour lines or reading contour lines. Okay, so in here, number one, first is every point on a contour line is of the exact same elevation. Okay, that is contour lines connect points of equal elevation. Okay, so in other words, if you have this line, for example, the lowest line, okay, lowest line here, it means that this line have the same or exact same elevation. Okay, if it is, say for example, if it is this one here, 1,100, or this one, okay, let's say this is the ground level. Okay, and the second one is this one, 1,100. This is the elevation. Okay, and the next one is 1,200. This is the elevation. Okay, so in other words, if you see this line here, this line from this one around, they have the same exact elevation of 1,100. Okay, 1,100. Okay, contour lines connect points of equal elevation. So this one here has equal elevation with these points, this point here, right? So that is rule number one. Number two is contour lines always separate points of higher elevation from points of lower elevation. Okay, so you must determine which direction on the map is higher and which is lower. Okay, so it's very important. For example, we have here this one. So this one, for example, is higher and the other one is lower. Okay, higher, going up here is higher elevation. Okay, so later on, I'm gonna show you also the difference between going lower, for example. Number three, contour lines always close to form an irregular circle. Okay, like this one. They always form a regular circle. But sometimes part of the contour line extends beyond the map area so that you cannot see the entire circle. Okay, like in this example. Okay, so this one here, 1,250. Okay, you cannot see the entire circle. Okay, because it extends beyond. Okay, extends beyond the map. Right, so but if it is a bigger map, okay, that's why scale is important. If it is a bigger map, so it should form an irregular circle like this, right? So that is rule number three. And for rule number four, the elevation between any two adjacent contour lines of different elevation on a topographic map is the contour interval. Okay, contour interval. So we have here this one, contour interval. This one, we call this as contour interval. Often, every fifth contour line is heavier. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, fifth. The fifth one is heavier or darker. Okay, so these heavier contour lines are known as index contours or index contour lines. Okay, earlier we have mentioned this already because they generally have elevations printed on them. So this one is 800, 700, etc., etc., etc. Right. So these are called contour interval. Okay, like this one also. So this is 200. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this is 300. Okay, we call this contour interval. Number 5, contour lines never cross one another. Okay, never cross. Okay, meaning they never touch. Okay, usually except for one rare case where an overhanging cliff is present. Okay, if there's a cliff like this, cliff here present, in such a case, the hidden contours are dashed. Okay, so these are contour lines, but they merge on this area. Okay, so there's are dashed. Okay, that is what we mean by. So if you see this in a contour line, it means that this is a cliff. Okay, that is a cliff for according to rule number 5. Next one here, number 6, contour lines can merge to form a single contour line only where there is a vertical cliff. Okay, vertical cliff. Same with number 5. So if there's a vertical cliff here, okay, vertical cliff. So in this case, they merge on a single line. Okay, they merge on a single line here. Okay, so if you see a single line like this one, contour line merge into a single line, it means that it is a cliff, right? It is a cliff. Okay, same with this one here. This one is a cliff here. This one, but because this one is not so steep. Okay, not so steep. Okay, that's why you can still see some lines, but they are closer. Okay, closer to each other. But this one is a cliff. Okay, we have also here a cliff here, so that's why you can see here lines close to each other, right? So the lines are close to each other. Okay, so that is rule number 6. Next one, rule number 7. Every spaced contour lines of different elevation represent a uniform slope. Okay, so there's a we're talking about the slope shown on a contour lines, and basically there are 4 types of these slopes that you can see on a contour line: gentle, steep, concave, and convex slope. Okay, how do they look like? First, this one is a gentle slope, like this one, a gentle slope. Okay, not so steep. Okay, so if you're going to look at a topographic map, this is how a gentle slope look like. Okay, so contour lines showing a uniform. Why uniform? Because this one here is a uniform slope. Okay, uniform slope. So the distance here, the distance are almost uniform. Okay, they are almost the same. Okay, so these are evenly spaced contour lines because there is a uniform slope. Okay, so gentle slope will be evenly spaced, okay, and wide apart. They're wider apart from each other. So that's the first slope. Number 2, the second kind of slope is steep. Okay, this one is a steeper slope. Steep. Okay, so the contour lines here showing also uniform, meaning they are equally distanced also, but the steep slope on the map will be evenly spaced but close together. Okay, they are closer together compared to the gentle slope. Okay, so this one is very challenging and impossible to walk in here. Okay, so it's impossible to walk on this kind of slope, right? Next, the third kind of slope is what we call a concave. Right? This one is a concave slope, like this one, concave slope. Okay, so concave slope, the contour lines showing a concave slope on a map will be closely spaced. This one, closely spaced on this area at the top. Okay, closely spaced at the top. Okay, of the terrain feature, and widely spaced. This one, as you can see, the space, they are farther apart compared to this one. Okay, so the space on the lines are closer to each other at the top, and then at the bottom they are widely spaced, right? So that is number 3, slope number 3. And number 4, this one here is a convex. Okay, it's like bulging. Okay, bulging slope. So contour lines showing a convex slope on a map will be widely spaced at the top. Okay, again, it's the opposite. Okay, widely spaced at the top. The spacing here is wide, and then closely spaced at the bottom. Okay, like this one here. Okay, they are closely spaced on this area. Okay, so it's the opposite of concave slope, right? So these are the 4 kinds of slope that you can see on a topographic map. Next one here is number 8. The closer the contour lines are to one another, the steeper the slope. Okay, in other words, the steeper the slope, the closer the contour lines. Okay, so as you can see here, the slope here is not so steep. That's why they are farther apart from each other, the lines. But on this side, okay, it's steeper on this side, so therefore the lines are closer to each other. Okay, so the lines are closer to each other if the slope is steeper. Okay, and if it is not very steep, the lines are not very much close to each other. Okay, that's according to rule number 8. Next one, number 9. A concentric series of closed contour represents a hill. Okay, so you have a series of circle. Okay, irregular circle like this means it represents a hill like this. Okay, a series of closed contour lines, a hill. Next, number 10. Number 10, depression. Okay, depression contours have hature marks on the downhill side and represent a closed depression. Okay, so if you see this one, a circle like this one, but there is marks inside like this one. Okay, so it looks like a depression or a sinkhole like this. Okay, or a low point in the ground. Okay, so a low point in the ground. So if you have a low point in the ground like this, or it could be described as an area of low ground as surrounded by higher ground. Okay, in all directions, on all sides. Okay, usually only depressions that are equal to or greater than the contour interval will be shown, right? So as you can see here, this one, for example, this is the line. Okay, this is the lines here, but it's very small. But there are lines such as like this one here. There are lines going down like this. Okay, so that is depression contours. It means that there is a hole, okay, or sinkhole. Next one. This one is also a land feature. Okay, a saddle. This is a deep or low point between 2 areas. Okay, so this one here, if you have 2 hills, this one is a saddle. Okay, this one is the saddle. And if you're going to look at a topographic map, this one is a saddle. Okay, this part is a saddle. Saddle is not necessarily the lower ground between 2 hilltops. Okay, it may be simply a dip or a break along a ridge or a crest. Okay, it could be just a break, doesn't mean necessarily a lower ground like this, doesn't always necessarily be the same like this. It could just be a break between two higher grounds. Okay, so that is what we call saddle. Another land feature that you can see is a ridge. Okay, so a ridge is a sloping line of high ground. Okay, high ground like this one. So if you look at this one, when standing on the center line of the ridge, okay, so like this one, for example, this is what you will see. Okay, so this one is the higher point, this one, this area, the higher point, and then another higher point, and then this one. Okay, we call this as a ridge. If you see something like this is a ridge. Okay, or on a map, you can have something like this. Okay, so this one is a ridge, the red line. So this one is the higher section. Okay, and then we have lower section. Okay, can we go back? Okay, so this one here. Okay, so this one is the higher section, next higher section, and this one is the lower section. Okay, so it means that this is the higher section of the ridge, next higher, and then the lower section of the ridge. Okay, so you can differentiate. You should be able to differentiate that on the map. Next one, number 11, contour lines form a V, okay, V pattern, or sometimes U pattern, V pattern or U pattern. When crossing streams, okay, the apex of the V, this one here, the V is the apex of the V, always points upstream or uphill. Okay, so it means that this one is downstream, and then the top of the V is uphill. Okay. A contour line that bends to form a V shape indicates a valley. Okay, so if you have a V like this, it means that it is a valley. Okay, usually a valley. The bend in the V points toward the higher end of the valley. Okay, this V points upstream or in the direction from which the water flows. Okay, so the water comes from here going down. Okay, if there is a stream. Okay, if there is a stream. Okay, similar to that, we have here, this one is a gully. Okay, a gully is a stretched out groove in the land. Okay, for example, this one here, usually formed by a water course and has high ground on three sides. So on this side, there's a high ground, there's a high ground here, and there's also a high ground here. Okay, and then going down here is lower portion of the ground. So if you see something like this, okay, like this, going down here, this is a gully, okay, a gully. Now, depending on its size and location, water sometimes flows through it. Okay, so the water goes from the three sides and flows through here. Okay, from high to low. Contour lines forming a gully are either U shape or V shape. Okay, so you can also see a U shape or a V shape. Okay, so this one here, like this one, look something like a U shape. Okay, a U shape. Okay, that is a gully. Another one here. So next one is a spar. Okay, a spar is a short, continuous, sloping line of higher ground. Okay, normally jutting out from the side of a ridge. Okay, some side of the ridge. Okay, so for example, in this case, we have two kinds of spar. Okay, so this one, and then the other one here. It's a spar. Okay, so as you can see here, it is often formed by two roughly parallel streams. Okay, so this one is 1, 2. Okay, they're parallel streams. Okay, draws down the side of a ridge. From there's a ridge and then down, going down, usually parallel. Okay, so if you're going to look at this on the map, these are parallel to each other. Okay, so like this one, that is called a spar. Okay, And usually they also form a V shape or a U shape. Okay, a V shape and U shape, pointing away from the hill. So this one is the top of the hill, V like this. Okay, V like this. That's another land feature that you can see on a topographic map. Next one is a cut. Okay, a cut is a man-made feature. Okay, it's a man-made feature, or you can also have a field. Okay, it results from cutting through raised ground. Okay, usually to form a level bed for a road or railroad track. Okay, so let's say it's a part of the mountain. They're going to cut through the mountain to make railroad or just a road or a highway. Okay, for example, in here, they cut through the mountain, this part of the mountain. So this one here is a cut. Okay, there's a cut here. And this one is a field because they put some land, okay, here, soil. Okay, they dump some land here. Okay, so this part it's a field. Okay, now cuts are shown on a map when they are at least 10 feet high. Okay, they're at least 10 feet high, but if it is not, it may not be shown on a map. Right, so next, number 12, contour lines that occur on opposite sides of a valley always occur in pairs. Okay, for example, this one, contour lines here, okay, they appear in pair. Okay, 300 and then 300. Okay, so it means that they are of the same elevation, 300. Okay, what else? This side here, for example, and then same elevation at this one. Okay, opposite side always occur in pair. Or this one, another illustration of that for number 12. For example, on this side, they have same elevation, and on the other side, same elevation also. Like they are both 250, 250. Okay, so they are repeat. They are the same. Or in this one here also on this side, and then on this side, they're both 250. Okay, 250. Right? Or down here, 220, then another 220. Right? So that is what we mean by this is a ridge, and this one is a valley. Okay, a ridge and a valley. Right? So, okay, so I have here a diagram that shows how topographic maps represent landforms. Okay, so if this we have an island like this one, so this is how the map looks like. Okay, or like this one, this is how the map looks like. All right, so next one here. Okay, so this one, you can read this one. Number one, if you will see this one here on the map, okay, it represents a hill. Okay, a hill. Number two, this one represents a valley. Okay, valley. You can see here V lines. Okay, and number three, this one is a ridge. Okay, there's a ridge here, and then number four, where's number four here? A saddle. Okay, so it means that these are two hill. There are two uphill here. So this one is the between of that, a saddle. Okay, saddle. And the number five, there's a depression here. You can easily identify a depression because there are lines here. Okay, like this one. And then number six is a gully here. Gully also a V shape, and there is a river. Okay, the blue lines are a river. Number seven is a spar. Okay, you see the difference between a gully and a spar. A spar is the V is going up. Okay, and here the spar is going down. Okay, going down. The V shape is going down. But remember, they are both of the same elevation. Okay, number 8 is a cliff in here. There's a cliff. Why? Because the lines are closer to each other. Okay, the lines are closer to each other. And then there's a cut in here because this one is a railroad, right? So there's a cut in here. Okay, cut. And of course, here, number 10 here. We have here number 10, we have a field. Okay, so forget to write here. Number 10 is field, right? So this is how it looks like on a topographic map and on the actual one. Okay, this is the actual aerial photo, and this is the topographic map of that area. Okay, so see that this is how you can read topographic map. Okay, so this is where I end the lesson for today. So I hope you should be able to learn how to read a topographic map when you see one, right? So I will end it here, and I will see you again on the next lesson, right?